Good morning, peoples. Another one. Another morning power talk. I guess that's what I call it, right? So I'm going to try my best to do this without having my head wrapped, but it's morning. This is what I do to keep the waves down, or what's left of it, as I usually say. So this morning is very simplistic. I want to talk about something that I think is very vital to everyone's morning, to everyone's start of the day. And that is to weaponize yourself, right? It is to weaponize yourself. Weaponizing yourself means that every morning you awaken understanding that the world is about to throw so many things at you this morning. So many things are going to go wrong. So many things are going to come and attack you. I mean, it's said that most of us wake up in the morning already depressed, already filled with anxiety, just thinking about the things we have to overcome throughout the day. From work to challenges to family to certain things that were not handled the night before or the week before. So on this Monday, I am employing you to weaponize yourself. Now, what does it mean to weaponize yourself? Weaponizing yourself means to wake up at a reasonable time. Some people are up by 4, some are up by 3. Everybody knows E.T. is up by 3, right? He's known for that as the 3 a.m. guy. Some it's 4, some it's 5, depending on how your body works. I'm not into necessarily following patterns of other people, right? You've got to figure out what's good for your body, because I'm not a 3 o'clock guy. I will not wake up at 3 o'clock. My body's just not set for that. And having little small children, that's just something that's not going to happen at this time. But 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, most definitely. So weaponizing yourself means you wake up. Now, the weaponizing starts the night before, meaning you can sit down and jot down some things, right? The first thing is to remind yourself who you are. This is how I weaponize myself. I write down a list of things that I need to know. So as soon as I awaken, as soon as my eyes open, as soon as I'm conscious in the morning, before my feet hit the ground, the intention, the idea is to go straight to my knees into prayer and meditation. But not just prayer and meditation, because meditation is pretty big today. But I'm not big on meditating. Meditating is important, but I'm not big, because when people meditate, I ask, what are you meditating on? There has to be something you're meditating. Freeing up your mind and just having your mind empty is not something that I think is really smart. So we start with prayer and meditation. The very next thing I do is open up my notebook, which I have jotted down some things to remind me who I am. And that's something very personal. That's something you got to figure out, right? Knowing what the agenda is of your life. Weaponizing yourself is not a planner of what you have to get done during the day. That's a different topic. That's a different talk. Weaponizing is preparing yourself, suiting yourself, arming yourself. So whatever the day has to throw at you, whether it's clientele, whether it's your boss, whether it's a teacher, doesn't matter what it is, your job, family, friends, no matter what it is, you are ready for it. At the very top of my list, I'll share this one. I'll give this one out for free. At the top of my list, right? Because I've broken down my weaponry to 3 categories. It's who I am, where I'm going, and what is the truth. What's the facts, right? And the very first thing at the top of my list, before I see anything, it says this: you are at war. Act as such. That is literally the first bullet point of my morning weaponry. Just to remind me that the day, like this is war. Life is war, right? Life is a battlefield, and you ought to have that mindset. You ought to carry yourself as such. So weaponizing yourself. Find out who you are. I have a list of things who I am. Like, I am this. I am that. I belong to this. I stand for that. So before I even step out of my home, before I even step out of my house, before I even start the car, before I put my son or my daughter in the car to bring them to school, I already know who I am. Because if you don't know who you are, the world will have no problem telling you. There'll be 50 people. There'll be 5 people. It said that if you don't tell yourself who you are, 5 people throughout the day will make sure they tell you. So you must be weaponized. You must be ready. Life is not easy, especially as men. especially as businessmen. You must be ready. So many things are going to come your way. And I remember I used to live my life without weaponizing myself. And weaponizing myself, I'm not going to lie to you and make it seem as if I've been doing this forever. This is something I've incorporated in the past few months, maybe to a year now. Because after being knocked down so many times by life unexpected events, I'm telling you, it is not a way to go. Starting over every day is not a thing to do. Starting over every month, every year, it's not smart. Who wants to build and break down every day? Who wants to get to somewhere thinking that you're somewhere psychologically, thinking that you're somewhere spiritually, and then as soon as something wrong happens in life, something wrong happens throughout the day, you're so vulnerable to fall back. And this is what caused me to weaponize myself, because I found myself early this year after I launched my book and had such a wonderful run. I started finding myself in a very dark place, in a very low place. And I realized it's because I'm not weaponizing myself. It's because I was just letting life happen to me. And it happens sometimes. You know, we get busy in life. We have families. I'm married with children. We have a lot of responsibilities. Running a business is not easy. Having an agency is not easy. Trying to get the word out, trying to get clientele, trying to develop a brand, a personal brand, trying to solidify yourself within a market is not an easy thing. So sometimes we may forget that, hey, we have to take care of self. We have to take care of self because you are in charge of this ship called you. You are in charge of this person. You are in charge of this machine called you. You are in charge of this story called you. So it demands, it requires a narrative. It requires a story. It requires an idea and understanding that every day is war. That is at the top of my list. I'll share that. Because I will forget. Trust me, I'll go through life. I'll go through the routine and forget that this is war. What does war mean to me? It is a war of legacy. I am paving something. I am paving something first for myself. I have something to prove to myself. Secondly, for my family. I have something to prove. I have something to pay for my family, for the generations to come. Because what I am doing, what I believe my father did not believe and my forefathers did not believe either, on both my mother and my father's side. Which means that I've got some work to do. Which means that I've got a lot of work to do. It sounds very simplistic to break generational habits and create generational wealth and generational abundance, whatever you may call it. It sounds very simplistic. It sounds like it's a thing of decision, and it is at times, but there's more to it. It's warfare. Because within yourself, you're fighting things within your DNA that is beyond you. It said that if your mother or your father was an alcoholic, you are more susceptible to do it as well. I don't understand how that thing works. But if mom and for some reason it seemed as if the things that our parents did, the ills of our parents, of our forefathers or grandparents and people who came before us, it's really weird, but it seems as if we seem to fall into the same thing sometimes. So you must weaponize yourself. You got to weaponize yourself. This world is not what you think it is. So be prepared. Be ready. Be ready. Have your swords ready. Sharpen them. Sharpen the mind. Sharpen your thinking, your perspective. And then get to your goals. Get to before we get to the goals, find out who you are. Take a moment and sit down and write down these 3 categories I told you, right? Who am I? First of all, what's the facts? Mine is actually the facts, the truth. And at the top of the list is, we're at war. This is warfare. First category. The next category is, who are you? Who are you? Right? Mine's is so simplest. Mine's is so simple. I keep it so simple that I actually put that I'm a child of God. I have a purpose. And I even have a section where I talk about where I come from. Like all of my challenges. right? All of my challenges, everything I've been through and overcome, to remind me, because I'm telling you, throughout the day-to-day runnings and happenings and routines, it is very easy to forget what you've been through. It's so easy to forget. It's so easy to lose sight of who you really are and what you've overcome and how mighty you are and how powerful you really are. You know, some of you, you'll sit down at these jobs and listen, I understand the 9-to-5 hustle. I understand. And when I say 9 to 5, I always have to specify what that means, because when you say 9 to 5, people think it's some like meaningless minimum wage job. No, you can be an attorney and have a 9 to 5. If you've got to go to work and someone tells you what to do, you can be a doctor, you can be a nurse, you can be an engineer and still work a 9 to 5 job, which means it is a job where people are requiring things of you, where you don't necessarily have the freedom to make your own decisions, right? If you have no sick days, you cannot take a sick day. If you have no PTO, you cannot take, if your son or daughter or someone in your family, something tragic happens or something good happens, maybe there's a recital, you have to ask someone. That is a 9 to 5 system to me, all right? Well, you have to ask permission to do what you need to do in your life. When your salary is capped, when it's determined by someone else, right? So anyway, many of you are going to these 9 to 5 situations. I had another name for it, but I'm not going to do it here now. Don't want to cause anybody to be upset. But many of us are coming from this 9 to 5 mentality or state of being. And I understand how sometimes it can literally drown out your light. It can drown out your strength. I know how it is. And sometimes you can be a great job. A little dust here, losing focus. Sometimes it can be a great job. It can be a great salary. It can be awesome. But the environment, you know, it breeds a lot of people who just have negative mindsets. It breeds a lot of foolishness. Trust me, I know. I'm going to write a book on this maybe one day. Sometimes it can cloud your judgment. I've been there. It can cause you to question where you're going, and you can lose sight sometimes too. I know how it is. So you must weaponize yourself. You got to be ready to go in there blazing and walk out the person you're supposed to be. So when you get back out here in the real world, you're ready to work on your business. You're ready to work on your purpose. You're ready to start these things that you said you're going to do. You're ready to accomplish these goals that's been put inside of you. Weaponize yourself this morning. It's Monday. I hope I post this too in time so that it's still relevant. But weaponize yourself, beloved. Weaponize yourself, men. Weaponize yourself, women. Weaponize yourself, people of purpose. Go in there blazing. Go in there blazing. Go in there blazing. Before the sun comes up, you come up first. And you know who you are. And you fight for what you believe in. You're a warrior. If anyone hasn't told you, you're mighty, okay? You're mighty. You're champions. Despite your situation right now. Despite what's in your bank account. Despite what's in your bank account. Despite what's in your bank account. You're amazing. You're mighty. You're a warrior. Despite how you feel. Despite the depression that's been overtaking you. Despite what you're going through right now, because I know some of you are struggling with loss. You've lost some people. You lost some things. Weaponize yourself this morning. Find out who you are this morning. For me, it's warfare. I'm reminded every morning that this is warfare. And it is my job to fight. It is my job to go out here with a warrior's mentality. And I know who I am. I know who I belong to. I know where I'm going. Before I step foot in my car, before I start this engine, I know who I am. I'm weaponized. So weaponize yourself from now on. Sit down and write down the list of things. The truth. What are the facts? What are the facts of your situation? And be honest with yourself. Then who you are. Talk about who you are, where you come from, and where you're going. Peace.